Welcome back to my channel. We're going to break down the last time Hawthorn and Adelaide played each other. Now, we're lucky that these two teams that are going to match up in the first of these semi-finals on Friday night only played each other 3, 4, maybe 5 weeks ago in round 21 at Adelaide Oval. So this is the exact situation. Of course, it's not a final, but I think there are so many things that we can learn from this game that will become really relevant on Friday night when these two teams play again. So let's just get straight into it. So we understand that Adelaide's biggest weapon at the moment is their defence. And a lot of that weapon comes from their ability to intercept the football. So in the first 15 seconds of this game, in the first quarter here, Adelaide's intercept marking took over the game straight away. That right there, bang. That is what Adelaide want to be able to do consistently. Again here, we're less than a minute after that first intercept mark from the Adelaide Crows. We're going to see another one. If you don't get the ball to ground in these situations, the Adelaide defenders and Riley O'Brien, who is a sneakily underrated intercept marker, especially when he can become the spare in those defensive situations, but he also does just take a man, take a key forward, which allows a player like Mark Keane or Josh Worrell or Nick Murray to come and play as a spare. He's really good at pushing behind the football really quickly and being able to impact these contests. So if you allow Adelaide to do that, you are going to struggle to score. You are going to struggle to move the footy. Again, this is all in the first sort of 5, 6, 7 minutes when it was a genuine stalemate, and all Hawthorn could do and all Hawthorn were doing was this sort of stuff. So we see Massimo D'Ambrosio just kicking the ball long and high, and as soon as you do that, both of the Adelaide Crows defenders here take a really good position on the back shoulder. They hold their space here. So technically and realistically, both of the Adelaide Crows defenders here could have taken this intercept mark. If Mark Keane doesn't take this, then Nick Murray is going to take this right now. And you just cannot allow that to happen. So how do you combat that? And we saw how Collingwood combated it last week, and that was bringing in a player like Mason Cox. But Hawthorn also did a very similar thing, and this is what is going to be Adelaide's biggest concern coming into Friday night, because we saw what Collingwood were able to do when they were able to stop the intercept mark and get the ball to ground level, but we also saw what Hawthorn were able to do. But this kick from Massimo D'Ambrosio, just get the ball on the boot and don't put it in the air. Don't allow the Adelaide Crows defenders to intercept mark, because as soon as this ball hits the ground in front of Mark Keane, as soon as he can't take this intercept mark, the Adelaide Crows defenders have been susceptible. They have been vulnerable to the ground level game. So as soon as the ball hits the ground, look at the pressure applied from all of the Hawthorn players, and they force a fumble here from James Peatley. And in about 10 seconds, Jack Gunston is going to kick the first goal of the game. So as soon as the ball got to ground level, as soon as Hawthorn were able to stop the intercept marking ability from the Adelaide Crows and force a really high pressure ground level game, Hawthorn were able to score consistently in the first quarter. And when we talk about getting the ball to ground inside your forward 50, last week we saw with Collingwood, it was their ability to compete in the air. And that was what it was so important about bringing a player like Mason Cox in. His ability to just get the ball onto ground level, allow the pressure game to be invited, and then allow the pressure game to thrive. But Hawthorn did it a slightly different way. It wasn't just about competing in the air. It was also just about winning contests and winning stoppage inside your forward 50. So here in Josh Ward, he's thinking about putting this on the boot, but he knows if I put this on the boot, I am opening our forwards up to getting intercept marked on. And as soon as they can do that, the Adelaide Crows will just transition the ball from their defensive half. They will take over the game and you won't be able to score. So Josh Ward changes his mind in real time here to go from a kick to just, I'm just going to handball the ball and I'm going to get the ball forward. So no matter what, if there is an Adelaide Crows player standing here, it's not a mark. It is play on. The ball is still in live motion. We can still get all of our small forwards here into a pressure sort of mindset. So as soon as Josh Ward handballs his football out, all of the pressure now on the Adelaide Crows defenders, and as soon as the ball hits ground level, that is when Hawthorn were at their most dangerous. So again here, James Sicily is forced to go long, but it's forced to go to a 1-on-1 situation. And I just want us to look at the ability for the Hawthorn forwards to just get this ball to ground. So Jack Gunston right now, his whole job, he's not trying to mark this football. He's saying, I cannot allow the Adelaide Crows defenders to intercept mark. I've just got to get this ball to ground right now. And as soon as I can compete, as soon as we can invite this sort of ground level pressure and we can embrace the ground level game, that is when we're going to be at our best, because that is when the Adelaide Crows defenders are not at their best. That is when they are most vulnerable. That is when you can attack them the most. And this is what was so impressive in the first quarter the last time Hawthorn versed Adelaide at Adelaide Oval only 5 or 6 weeks ago. There are a couple of issues when you play this really high pressure ground level game. The first being that if you cannot defend at the source of the football, because you commit so many numbers, because you rely on all of that forward momentum of all of your defenders, all of your wingers, all of your midfielders pushing forward and creating these ground level situations. If you don't get enough pressure on the football at the source, you allow things like this. So as soon as Wayne Miller here can split this 2v1, Adelaide rebound off the half back line, and they get a really good entry where they have genuine position, where they have a genuine chance to win this. So even though Hawthorn have an outnumber here, none of their defenders are in an advantageous situation. James Sicily, who's now running back, and the same with Josh Battle here, who's now running back, pushed so far forward to provide this ground level pressure game. And as soon as Adelaide get the turnover and are able to move the ball quick, all of the Hawthorn defenders are now in a bad position, which means Darcy Fogarty can win a genuine one-on-one here, and Adelaide go and kick their first goal for the game. So that is the trade-off that you play. That is one of the trade-offs that you play when you play this high-level, ground-level, high-pressure game, is the fact that your defenders are often going to be caught out of position. Now, what Collingwood did really well was not allow Adelaide to rebound off their half-back line. They put so much pressure at ground level that they had no clear possession off the half-back line. So if Hawthorn are going to win and they are going to play this high-pressure ground-level game, they are going to need to do a better job at not allowing Adelaide to transition off their half-back line like they did quite a few times in the time that they played in round 21. The second thing you open yourself up to, and I think the most important thing, and probably the single biggest factor in the difference of this game, and a lot of the Hawthorn issues this year have come from stoppages. So when you play a high pressure game, you are inevitably going to have a higher stoppage game. And if you allow players like Isaac Rankin at these stoppages, which we saw so often against Hawthorn in round 21, if you allow players like Isaac Rankin, obviously Isaac Rankin is not going to be there, but Josh Rochelle comes in. Jordan Dawson is going to be looking to have a bounce back game. When you have this high pressure game, you're going to force more stoppages. So you have to be a lot better around stoppage. So D'Ambrosio here, you cannot be on this side of Isaac Rankin here, because as soon as you give him this side where he can explode towards goal, you are going to get burnt straight away. So this little half meter of space is too much for a player like Isaac Rankin, because as soon as he gets his football, bang, he is going to get a quick kick away, and that exposes James Sicily in the goal square. Riley Thilthorpe should have taken the mark, gets back on it anyway, and kicks the goal. So when you play high pressure, you have to expect that you're going to have high stoppage, and if you're going to have a high stoppage, you better be defensively switched on at these stoppages. So again, literally just a couple minutes later in this quarter, we're going to see the exact same thing. So the most dangerous space at this forward half stoppage is basically a forward 50 stoppage, is the space right here. This is the space where either a midfielder can run into, or a quick kick is going to get put in the path of a Taylor Walker or a Darcy Fogarty. So Blake Hardwick, you have to be standing right here, protecting the most dangerous space. So as soon as this ball comes in, Hardwick is now in a situation where he's too far away to protect this space if a midfielder gets it. So as soon as Riley O'Brien gets this football going forward, bang, Blake Hardwick too slow to react. John Newcomb on the wrong side of Jordan Dawson right here, allowing the space that we just established as the most dangerous part of this stoppage. Too much time for Jordan Dawson. He goes back and kicks the goal. So again, if you're going to play a high pressure game, you're going to play in a high stoppage game. And if you cannot physically defend stoppages, maybe that's not the game for you. But it also just happens to be the only game that Adelaide seem to lose, is these ground level high pressure games. So it really is a bit of yin and yang. It's a bit of give and take, but Hawthorn has to get better at those situations. But again, Hawthorn was so good at, as soon as they did get the ball to ground level inside their forward 50, like we're going to see here, where where the Crows completely outnumbered them, and John Newcomb just squeezes this handball out to Will Day, and they get a really good shot on goal that goes through. When they were able to get the ball to ground level inside their forward 50, they were so incredibly dangerous. But again, the issue is, as soon as you commit to playing a really high pressure ground level game, you open yourself up to getting the ball turned over and putting your defenders in really uncomfortable situations. So bang, Connor Nash has to get rid of this football because of how much pressure the Crows have put on. But again, this comes from Hawthorn's inability to control the football, and it's probably not an inability to control the football. It's probably more a sense of, we have to get the ball going because we don't want to allow the Adelaide Crows defenders, who are the best intercept defenders in the league, to set up. So as soon as you do that, Adelaide now can bypass all of the Hawthorn spares in these situations. So now they are completely outnumbering the Hawthorn defenders at all contests, or at the very least getting one-on-ones And as soon as the Crows can get one-on-ones on their side of the football, where Neil Bolling can just say, hey, I'm going to trust Darcy Fogarty in a one-on-one against the All-Australian defender and Josh Battle here, and I'm going to trust him to win the football. This is what the Hawthorn Hawks do not want to happen, because if they get into a one-on-one battle through this high-pressure game, if they allow the Adelaide Crows forwards to be one-on-one in a lot of these situations, they are going to get burnt on the back end. And realistically, this game came down to who was going to be better at winning one-on-one contests, because both teams bought into this high-pressure ground-level game, and as soon as you do that, you expose your defenders and your forwards to one-on-one situations. The issue is playing that way against Adelaide when their forwards are so good one-on-one, when you have players like Riley Thilthorpe and Tex Walker and Darcy Fogarty and Isaac Rankin and Jordan Dawson, when you have these players who are so good in one-on-one situations, if you're a Hawthorn player or a Hawthorn fan, that is a really tough game plan and game style to convince yourself is a good way to win. But we did see Collingwood win that way. We saw Collingwood play a really high-pressure ground-level game. The slight difference is that Collingwood's defensive system has been so good for so long that even when the Adelaide Crows were able to turn the football over and get the football going their way, Collingwood's defensive structure and defensive system still had safeguards. They still had guardrails. They still had safety nets behind the football with players like Darcy Moore, who was smart enough to reposition himself really, really quickly and really, really well, where he was able to take intercept mark after intercept mark. What we didn't see in this game was any time Adelaide did turn the football over in their defensive half, they were able to move the football from their defensive half into their forward 50 with relative ease, which is something that the Crows haven't really done particularly well all year. They're not necessarily a really good transition team, but because Hawthorn committed so many numbers to ground level, to playing this high pressure game, there were one-on-ones absolutely everywhere. And if we know something about Adelaide, it is that their one-on-one situations, their players in one-on-one contests and one-on-one situations are very, very, very good. So if you're Hawthorn, you have to be able to stop these one-on-one wins, or you have to abandon the ground level game, because as we know, if you can't win one-on-ones and you're going to play a high pressure ground level game, you are going to be exposed to one-on-ones consistently, and you're going to be exposed to stoppages like this situation right here. So look at the work of Isaac Rankin. Again, Adelaide will not have Isaac Rankin, but they will have Josh Rochelle running through this forward line again. Hardwick, you've got to do a better job at protecting the most dangerous space. Isaac Rankin does a really good job creating separation, protecting all of this space, which is the most dangerous. He gets it on the left boot and kicks it straight through the goals. That was the sort of nail in the coffin. That was the dagger that iced the game for Adelaide. So, a couple things for Hawthorn to focus on going into this game. One, you have to be able to win stoppages, especially stoppages inside your defensive 50. Isaac Rankin might have kicked 3 goals or set up 3 goals from forward 50 stoppages the last time they played again. They're not going to have him, but they're going to have consistent repeat stoppages if Hawthorn want to play this high-level ground pressure, this sort of just let's get the ball to ground and let our forwards do the work. The issue is that exposes everyone. I'm going to keep saying it over and over and over again, because we are going to see this on Friday night if they play the same way. Now, who wins? I have absolutely no idea, but I would hazard a guess that if Hawthorn play this game style, where they want to get the ball to ground at all costs, where they will happily give up the ability to move the football and just throw it on the boot, if they give up control of the game and throw it on the boot to try and stop the ability for the Adelaide defenders to take intercept marks like we saw Collingwood do, I think Adelaide in one-on-one situations are just going to be slightly too good. But are Hawthorn a chance? They're absolutely a chance. Do I think they're a chance to hold up for 4 quarters in one-on-one situations consistently, contest after contest after contest after contest? I don't think so. So, my tip would be Adelaide. It's going to be a very congested, very contested ground level game, and I think there are going to be some players like Jordan Dawson in one-on-one situations who is going to win 4, maybe 5 very key one-on-one contests. I think Riley Thilthorpe is going to have a massive bounce back after his relatively quiet in front of goal game. I think he's going to win maybe 3, 4, 5 genuinely important one-on-one contests, especially inside the forward 50. And even without a superstar in Isaac Rankin, with Josh Rochelle coming back and creating havoc with those forward 50 stoppages, I just don't know if Hawthorn's ability to defend in one-on-one situations and ability to win one-on-one contests around the ground is going to be strong enough to stop Adelaide, especially at Adelaide Oval. Now, I could be completely wrong, and it could be a completely different game to what we saw in round 21 between these two teams. I could be way off the mark, but that is what won Adelaide. That is what won the Adelaide Crows the game in round 21, and I think it's going to happen again. So let me know what you think is going to happen. But Brisbane v Gold Coast video will be coming out tomorrow. If you're seeing this on Thursday, if not, it'll be coming out on the Friday, and then we will do the game review on Saturday morning. We'll break down every key piece of play on Saturday morning and Sunday morning from both of the semi-finals heading into the prelims, and then we get really geared up for a massive 2 weeks with the prelim going into the grand final content pretty much every single day. So if you are here and you enjoy these sort of breakdown videos, please feel free to subscribe. We are growing. It's lovely. We are growing consistently. It's great. But yeah, that's all I got for you. I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.